Hey there, guys. How are you? Are you ready for spoilers? Are you ready for justice? Because I know I am. What's that, Batman? Oh, it's Chris Stuckmann. How are you? That's not what he said.
I was going to say, did he really say that?
Yes.
I got excited for a minute.
Yeah, I did too. So anyway, guys, stick around. We're going to cover every detail, every minute detail about Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. So, Chris, we've been waiting 3 years for this movie.
Three long years.
Very long years, man. And it's like, so much has happened over the last 3 years. We've both made tons of videos talking about Batman v Superman. This is probably, besides Star Wars for you, our most anticipated movie for like the last 3 years of making YouTube videos.
Easily. I mean, I grew up loving these guys. I grew up wearing Superman like underwear outside my jeans, running around the house.
I still do.
Okay, well, I meant when I was a kid, but I still want to.
Yeah.
As an adult, I want to.
Yeah,
and sometimes I do. And, you can ask Sam.
I did. I didn't want to bring it up, but she did tell me things.
So I don't usually drink alcohol, but in this case, it's late. We've already filmed a lot of Batman videos, and Mark's Hard Lemonade isn't like hard liquor.
Yeah.
By the way, not sponsored. This is entirely not sponsored. This is just me drinking Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Because it's the taste of a new generation.
This really is not sponsored, by the way.
After Jesse Eisenberg's performance as Lex Luthor, I think alcohol is required.
Yeah, I could give you that one. I could give you...
You do not want to fight this guy! All right, where are we going to go with this?
Overall, I felt the movie was a mess. We've already talked about this in review, so let's get into spoilers.
Yeah.
Doomsday.
Oh, okay, so we're going to start off there.
Let's just let it happen.
Blow the load right there. All right, I'll give my take real quick. The build-up and the motivation of Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor creating Doomsday, I get why he made him.
Sure.
He essentially hates God.
Yeah.
And Superman is the closest representation of God, and he wants to destroy that, maybe for some self-accreditation, or maybe he wants to prove that he's better. But when they introduced Doomsday, by somehow shoehorning in one of the spaceships from General Zod's fleet, has a generation chamber to birth creatures. You mentioned the ship's narration.
Yeah, didn't you love how he walks in and the ship is like, hello, and then he has rather than just cutting off General Zod's entire hand to use General Zod's hand in these fingerprints, he very carefully cut off the finger skin to place over his own fingers. I'm like, just cut off his hand with your Kryptonian knife and just use the hand, but PG-13 or whatever. So he walks in and the computer voice is like, hey, what you're doing is forbidden, and Kryptonian people, we've forbade this for years. Are the Kryptonian people still alive? No. Okay, well, we're just gonna do it. And then they start making Doomsday. It was so convenient, really. It just felt very convenient.
Somehow you can create a human being by putting a corpse in a pool of urine, putting some blood on his face, and somehow that magically creates a human being. By the way, why did he need his fingerprints when General Zod's corpse was right there beside him? Just slap that.
That's
right
true.
There. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. This is the point. This is what we're trying to get at. The movie has potential, and it could have been easily better. But there's so many lazy script writing elements. It's just like, why did you even do that?
One of the things that bugged me about Lois Lane was they struggled to make her relevant after a while.
Yeah.
They had the Kryptonian spear. She grabs it. She throws it in the water for whatever reason. I guess she was trying to get it far away from Superman. Then she's like, oh, I guess they need that. So she dives into the water to get it. Then she gets trapped. Then Superman has to save her. So Superman has to go down and get the kryptonite. And it's just like this big back and forth with the writers going, how do we make Lois Lane interesting? How do we give her anything to do besides just being Lois Lane?
She was the damsel in distress throughout the entire movie.
She really was.
How many things has she fallen off of that Superman saved her by now?
It's basically like her character's motivation is falling off things.
And taking baths. Taking baths.
I enjoyed that scene.
I didn't mind it. Now, before we continue talking about Amy Adams taking nice, warm, soapy baths with a little bit of bubble going on, we got to get back to Doomsday very quickly because there's too much to talk about. I wanted to mention this very quickly. A few months ago, we made a video.
We did.
Right here.
Right in this exact spot,
Right here, same positioning.
Yeah.
And we talked about the trailer. And a lot of people agreed, a lot of people disagreed. It was very split.
Yeah.
Is it not fair to say that that trailer essentially did break down the major plot points of the movie?
It's more than fair. The only thing that it didn't say was that Superman gives his life.
Yes.
That's it.
Superman dies, and then essentially comes back to life by the end of the movie.
Yeah, I know. It was funny because it ended and Superman died, and I was like, okay, that's ballsy.
Yeah.
I am all with that. And in my review, I said the film makes a choice that I thought was brave, but then doesn't follow through with that choice.
I agree.
That was, they killed Superman. And I was like, good, that's ballsy. That's like, I give you respect for doing that. But then the little dirt follicles rise. So he's alive. I expected that. It's hard to have the Justice League without Superman.
Yeah, sure.
But still, I was like, Zack Snyder, this movie was a mess, but you made a hard choice there. And then they couldn't even end their film following through with that choice, and it kind of bugged me. The trailer 100% spoiled everything. It's basically a summation of the movie. It shows that there's going to be a fight. It shows that the fight outcome is that they team up, and Wonder Woman shows up and saves them for a second with her shield, and then Doomsday is there.
That trailer kind of ruined everything a little bit.
I have no idea how it got approved.
I don't
really
either.
don't.
And I wanted to be wrong. When we talked about that, I wanted to be wrong about that.
Yeah.
But when I was watching the movie unfold, I was like, beat for beat, they showed that.
They really did.
And in all fairness, there's a few little things that happen in between those major plot points, but the major plot points were all there.
Now I have something I want to talk about.
Okay.
I want to talk about Ben Affleck's email to Wonder Woman that was like, "Hey, I want you to know that I know who you are." And I like how she over dramatically scrolled through it, revealing one sentence after another.
Like it was instant messaging via email.
Everyone would have just scrolled and read the entire thing, but no, since it's a movie, we get one line at a time. Yeah. And then, of course, it's filled with files of every major Justice League character, including video surveillance footage of all of this. You get to see the Flash, you get to see Aquaman, you get to see Cyborg, and I'm sorry, it was just... Look, this is what the writers came up with? She reads a fucking email? That's it?
That's the cameos.
That's our Justice League setup? She reads an email?
It goes deeper than that, Chris. You're forgetting the little visually stunning icons. Somebody at LexCorp took the time. Keep in mind, these are top secret LexCorp files. Somebody took the time, put together a brain-thinking dream team of designers, and they made logos for each one of these top secret metahumans. The Flash had one, Aquaman had one, Cyborg had one. How dumb are you going to treat your audience that you couldn't just put the name of the Flash or something? No. They had to put his logo there.
Yeah. To me, it just felt like, hey, we're more concerned about setting up the Justice League than making a great film. And you could feel like the first half of the movie was very grounded, very serious. It felt very political thriller-ish. Yeah. There was brief appearances from superheroes amongst the political thrills. Yeah. And then it just became, hey, there's Justice League and we need to have Doomsday, we need to have Wonder Woman, we need to have all these cameos, we need to have all of this setup. And it was just this big mess.
A hodgepodge of superhero bukkake.
That's a good way to put it.
That's how I'm going to put it.
And I'll drink to that.
As you drink to that, I want to briefly talk about some of the cameo scenes, because I made a video on this a long time ago, and this was a year ago, and it was just rumored at the time, but a few of those actually panned out to be somewhat accurate. The Flash scene was him stopping a robbery at a liquor store. Yeah. Okay, I was okay with that. Cool.
It is what it is.
Yeah, and then we had Aquaman. And I've said this once.
I almost figured it out.
I'm saying, Merman. The way Aquaman was first presented, he comes out of a dark hole in the ocean. He's like, and he just looks at everyone all magical and it looks like he can't even swim. It looked like they dumped Jason Momoa in a swimming pool in someone's backyard and filmed it. And then he shoots off through the water, breaking the sound barrier of water. So
really think about this, okay? You're a professional writer in Hollywood. You are writing a screenplay. Your screenplay is for Batman v Superman. And you have her open an email to introduce us to the characters of the Justice League. An email. That's the easiest thing they could have done.
I heard a rumor a long time ago, and we're going to give some constructive criticism here.
Okay.
I read the rumor a long time ago that when Batman, in the movie, he breaks in and steals the kryptonite, which they don't even show that scene.
No,
I wish
maybe it's in the R-rated
I
cut.
wish they would have, though. We need to talk more about that.
That could be.
I heard that he actually goes through some LexCorp files while he's doing that, and that's how he sees the cameo scenes. And that makes sense because Batman's kind of the leader of the Justice League. He's the one who wants to set the whole thing up. So him having that knowledge would make sense by the end of the movie, and would have been a better way to introduce it.
Let's talk about the fight. So to me, it just felt rushed. Okay, now I don't know about you, because I know you liked it a little more than me. And I didn't dislike this movie. There's this thing on the internet where you either have to love it or hate it.
No gray zones anymore. Exactly. Love or hate. Can't just enjoy.
I'm in the middle of the road here.
Yeah.
We're talking more about things we didn't like, but there were things we liked. We've reviewed it already.
We'll get into the positives.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Affleck was great. It was cool to see him punch things. He killed a lot of people, which was kind of fucked up.
Batman was a mass murderer.
I said this after the movie to you. It was like they didn't definitively show him kill someone. It was always like kind of like a wide shot of something blowing up near somebody. Yeah. They never just showed him go like, and a guy just go, blah. There's a lot of dream sequences where he murders people, but then in real life, like you said, I think after the movie, he just like mows down this guy with a machine gun.
Yeah, during the car chase scene, the guy shoots at him, and he's like, fuck you, buddy. He pulls out his machine gun, and the entire car just blows apart, and right before you can see that guy's head would explode by bullet penetration, cuts.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like they never definitively showed him but he's obviously murdering people left and right.
He has to.
So I don't get it. Yeah. And what I said to you was, look, if they're going to have Batman in this movie kill people, at least acknowledge it. Have a scene, anything, where Alfred maybe approaches him and is like, you're going too far with this. And he's like, well, they killed Robin. They killed all these people. I have nothing left. Yeah. And then it explained his rage, why he changed his moral code. Because for me, that was the most interesting thing about Batman was the moral code that he had. The fact that he kind of rode that line of just barely becoming a criminal. But he was like right there. And so eliminating that just makes him Punisher with a cowl on. And that kind of disappointed me.
I agree. They more so focused on Superman not wanting to kill anyone. Yeah. And then kind of dropped it for Batman. But back to your one point about kind of just washing over things and jumping into it. Their fight sequence. Now, like we said, there's about 30 minutes of this movie on the editing room floor somewhere. I'm hoping when that Blu-ray comes out, there's more build up to that big fight, because it's Batman v Superman.
Yep.
Now, I have no complaints with the fight. The fight itself, beautiful, brutal, badass. Enjoyed it. Yeah. But the build up to that epic fight was the most half-assed, lazy, convenient thing in the entire movie.
Very
and it
rushed.
Should have been the most important thing. I think we sort of understand Batman's motivations, why he wants to take out Superman. The movie did its job there. But as far as Lex Luthor being involved, and the timing of it, and Batman's timing of wanting to put this precise fight together, you had Batman, he planned this entire situation out, and so did Lex Luthor. But how they never worked together to do this, but they both plan it at the exact same time the same day. How did that come about?
I actually never thought of that. That's very true.
Yeah.
That's all just kind of happens on one night.
No, they didn't communicate. They weren't working together.
That's
Lex
true.
Luthor didn't know Batman's plan.
I never thought of that, actually.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, you just blew my mind.
It hurts, right?
It does.
Yeah.
One of the things you talked about was the fact that you kind of understood why Batman hated Superman.
Yes.
He was there in Metropolis when all that shit went down in Man of Steel. People that Batman cared about were killed that day. Superman doesn't really have a clear motivation for not liking Batman. What is he, a vigilante? Yeah. Big fucking deal. Like, why do you want to beat up Batman?
Yeah.
What has Batman done that's so bad that's affecting you? Now, if they had... This is, again, about the Batman killing thing. Here's a perfect opportunity to use it for the story. Have Superman be like, Batman, you can't go around killing everybody. I mean, I snapped General Zod's neck, but,
I had to.
It's not like I go around killing everybody all the time like you, because you're Batman, and apparently Batman, you just murder people all night.
He's breaking necks.
I mean, that would have been something.
Yeah.
It would have been like, hey, you stay down, man, because you've been killing too many people. Because, you can't murder. Sure. But, again, they don't use it. Yeah. There's so many things they could have done, and they don't. And like you said, there's no real reason for them to fight. It's because the movie is called Batman v Superman. So we expect it to happen.
I know I did, but I just wanted some reasoning. Now, I think most people are going to say, well, the reason Superman went to fight Batman is because Lex Luthor kidnapped his mother. But before that, Superman had a problem with Batman throughout the entire movie.
Exactly.
For no reason.
Right. He flies in and is like, the bat is dead. Next time your signal is in the sky, don't go to it. Why?
It's like, you just stopped me from chasing down criminals who murder people. They're right there, but why are you stopping me?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. What exactly was he doing?
just proving that he's Superman, I suppose.
Yeah, but like Batman was just chasing some criminals.
And Superman didn't help.
No, he just was like, hey, stop that. Bye, criminals. Go ahead and go.
The Bat's dead. Bury it. Okay, so we've been saying a lot of negatives, and we do have some positives, a few. But I think my last big negative before we jump into the good stuff is the first half of this movie was very choppy. Yeah. And that goes back to cutting things out, possibly. Because if they didn't cut things out of that first half of that movie, then it was just not a very good movie. Because the first half, they go from scene to scene to scene to scene to location to location to location, and they throw so much stuff at you so quickly. Yeah. And it feels like transitions are gone. Like, it just chops so hard to something else. Right. It just felt like there were some scenes, even little scenes, where somebody, like, walks around a corner or does something, but then it cuts to something else they're doing. I remember a very long time ago watching Watchmen for the first time and thinking, if this guy made a Batman movie, that would be really good.
Yeah. And all the Batman parts were the best.
And all the Batman parts were the best. And I knew they probably would be. So
it's funny.
The saving grace.
All the action scenes in this movie with Batman reminded me of the Arkham Knight. About how he would just flip around everywhere and just take shit down.
Brutality, man. Yes. Just rock bottoms, like elbows to the face, knives to people.
Good stuff, man. I mean, Batman will brand you, he'll stab you, he'll snap you, he'll blow you up.
Yeah. And I heard that the guy who did the storyboarding for the animated movies featuring Batman actually did the storyboarding for this. And you could kind of see it come into action, especially when he had the grappling hook and he was in the warehouse fighting and he grabbed the crates and swung them over his head.
That was great.
I liked that. And don't you just like how Batman actually was a little bit powered up?
Yes. The thing that I loved in this movie the most was the action.
Yeah.
All the action's great. It's a really good-looking movie. It's also mostly really well acted. I mean, pretty much everyone's phenomenal in film. Jesse Eisenberg is kind of I don't know if it worked. I think I
don't think it did.
I don't think so much. I think it wasn't. He went for like the nervous twitch, OCD, insanity type thing. It didn't really pay off for me.
Tone it down maybe 40%.
I did love Batman showing up at the end in his jail cell.
Yes.
That was badass.
I enjoyed that. I was surprised they didn't try to work Arkham in there, but Arkham's for the criminally insane. Maybe it doesn't really fucking matter. I just wanted to nerd out with Arkham in the movie.
Did they ever show the outside of it?
That's...
Could be Arkham.
It could be Arkham. It looked too clean to be Arkham.
That's true.
Just my opinion.
That's true. There are good things in this movie. Jeremy Irons, I thought, was fantastic as Alfred.
Yeah, I enjoyed him.
If you just want to take all the Batman stuff in this movie, take it out and have it be its own singular movie, and maybe don't make him kill everybody, I think it'd be phenomenal. Just that. So I'm excited about the prospects of Ben Affleck as Batman. I think it's the best looking Batman we've ever had.
Oh, best on screen by far. I mean, from everything, from the tone to actually what he's doing on the screen and the visuals. I mean, that was perfect. That was the Dark Knight Returns brought to the big screen.
Yeah, and he was also an interesting Bruce Wayne.
He was.
Which is, for me, the most important part, because if you don't care about Bruce Wayne, you know, who gives a shit about Batman? So... I loved Bruce Wayne in this movie. I liked Is it Gal Gadot?
I go with Gal Gadot, yeah.
She was awesome as Wonder Woman, but again, kind of rushed. It was just sort of like,
she was.
Hey, we got to have her, you know, because she's Wonder Woman, so she has to be here. But
at least they kind of flushed her character out a little bit compared to those 3-second cameo scenes.
She got an email.
But she worked. I was always under the impression Gal Gadot, she's beautiful woman. Yeah. I'm not saying she's not.
Sure.
But Wonder Woman has a physicality to her. Gal Gadot's about 102 pounds. But hey, my type of chick. No, but doesn't mean she should be Wonder Woman. But you know what? When she was in action in this movie, and when she jumped out for the first time saving Superman's ass,
good stuff. It was a crowd-pleasing moment.
It worked, and I bought it.
It was a crowd-pleasing moment. I totally bought... Yeah, like I said, I bought into her as Wonder Woman. Just felt like her character was kind of rushed. To me, it was kind of like a whole bunch of great characters, but there just wasn't really like that great... Yeah, the real, like, powerful reason for them coming together. It was just sort of like... Here's a big monster. Okay, so the Flashpoint paradox thing. The Flash jumps out to tell Bruce some things in a quick kind of vision that you thought was a dream, but maybe isn't a dream.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can turn to my mom when I take her to this movie and go, Mom, that's the Flashpoint paradox. And she can go, what? What does that mean? Yeah. So it's one of those things where, and then the whole nightmare sequence where there's like the things flying in the background and Batman snapping people's necks. Looks great. What the hell is that? What? Like, I love Batman.
Yeah. It didn't make sense.
It just didn't fucking make sense.
So Bruce Wayne's having the dream about nightmare version Batman snapping people's necks, shit's flying in the air. It's in the desert.
Yeah.
But then he wakes up to the Flash coming back in time. So was the Flash telling him these things as he was not sleeping, or
no?
It just didn't really.
I don't know,
explain it too
It
well.
reminded me of The Wicker Man, the scene where Nicolas Cage is on a dock. He has this nightmare that a girl's floating in the ocean.
Okay.
And then he wakes up and goes, oh. And then the camera zooms out and he's holding a dead body. He goes, oh! And then he wakes up again and goes, oh, God damn it! Like, it just reminded me. It just reminded me of that. Like, I wanted Ben Affleck to go, God damn it! Just like that Wicker Man scene.
What's that? What's that in the bag? A shark or something?
Hi, fucking yeah!
Viva la fucking France!
Fuck! I liked how both of their moms' names are Martha and how it affected them in that way.
I did, yeah.
Because I never actually thought about that, and that was really powerful. But, again, it was just like a ticking time sequence. They literally put a red digital clock right next to Martha to just count down the moments. And it was like the end of Dark Knight Rises. Yeah. And the thing is, speaking of Dark Knight Rises, there are Dark Knight Rises elements in this movie.
Yeah.
The ticking time sequence. There's a scene where Bruce Wayne kind of talks with Wonder Woman at this ball, and she's just stolen something.
Yes.
Just like in Dark Knight Rises, where Catwoman had stolen something, and Bruce Wayne's talking to her, kind of seducing her, and I was like, that's very similar. And I can tell you, after this movie, I think one of the things we mentioned that on the way home, I was like, well, I guess people are going to not hate on the Dark Knight Rises as much anymore.
No, you can't. It's not fair. If you want to compare narrative to narrative, The Dark Knight Rises is stronger by far. Every scene that Batman was in, absolutely loved.
Incredible.
The bat nips were hard. It just...
Well, that wasn't the only thing.
No, absolutely no, I know that. Whew. But you can't overlook when a story gets messy and discombobulated. Listen, guys, if any two guys wanted to give this movie an A+ and scream up to the heavens...
It was us.
It was us. I wanted to. And I remember watching the movie in the theater tonight and just thinking... that could have been better. That could have been better. Ooh, Batman's fucking perfect. I like that.
Yeah, I completely agree. Some people want a better story. Some people want a better screenplay. And sometimes you have to imagine that there are men and women creating these things. Yeah. This is somebody sitting down, getting paid millions and millions of dollars to figure this out. Yeah. And if the best they can do is have Gal Gadot open a fucking email and look at some videos of these guys... I'm sorry, they could have done so much more with this story, with these characters, with the script, just because the tone was pretty spot on and it looked visually great. I mean, that's what we already knew what we were going to get. We already knew the film would look good. We already knew that Zack Snyder was going to make good action.
I have a question for you.
Ask me the question, John.
Completely serious.
Okay.
Is that drink right there?
Yes.
Better than Granny's peach tea?
Did you pee in my fucking drink?
No, man. No.
Okay, good.
And then it just fucking blows up. Real quick, speaking of that, great scene. Granny's peach tea.
Good scene.
This movie had some great one-liners, too. There were some funny one-liners. But the scene where Holly Hunter's sitting there at the podium, and she's looking down at a mason jar full of piss that says Granny's peach tea, in a reference to Jesse Eisenberg earlier on in the movie, I got a sense of, like, eeriness and uneasiness, and I thought that was probably one of the more entertaining scenes in the movie that just put me on the edge of my seat, because I didn't know what was going to happen out of that.
It was good. That was definitely one of the better scenes in the movie. There wasn't anything in the movie that I just outright hated. It's just a mixed bag. And like you said, the gray area thing. Yeah. It's tough to be in a gray area now with these big movies.
Yeah,
If I said that Mrs. Peregrine's School for Peculiar Children, or whatever that movie coming out soon is, was okay, no one would care. No. But if I say that Batman v Superman is okay, well, then it's a problem. So, I don't know. It's just that there's a gray area with this movie. It wasn't perfect, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't awful. It was just kind of in the middle for me.
I agree for the most part. I feel like there's a lot of missed opportunities. Where they got it wrong, they really got it wrong. But where they got it right, they got it right.
Sure.
And I said this in my review. If Zack Snyder, if they just set out to make a direct adaptation of The Dark Knight Returns and really focus on that rather than setting up the building blocks for the entire DC Justice League universe, it would have been a really, really good movie.
Deadpool was amazing because it didn't have to set up Deadpool 2. There's like 2 seconds where they say at the end credits scene, by the way, we might have Cable in the next one. Yeah. That's it. All the best superhero movies are movies that are just movies on their own, that aren't as concerned about setting up a universe or a world.
And speaking of movies that came out in the last couple of years, what's the last movie that focused a little too much on setting up the universe?
Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron. And they both share the same issues.
Yeah, they're messy. Yeah. They're messy movies.
So that's our take on Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Is it what we expected? Well, the sad truth is, it is exactly what we expected.
It really is.
Judging by the trailers, I don't know how else you could have expected anything else. And I guess overall, when it comes down to it, I was entertained for the most part, and I do want to see the movie again.
Yeah, I do too. I'll watch it again.
I feel like I need to see the movie again.
Yeah, I'll watch it again.
But anyway, guys, yeah, that's just our spoiler-filled take. Make sure you check out Chris Stuckmann's channel. He's my buddy.
Thank you.
And he's enjoying a Mike's Hard Lemonade.
I am. It's almost gone.
Oh my gosh. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.